everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something that's, I think, pretty crucial for anyone who cares about education.
Yeah,
And that is, how much does teacher professional development really make a difference when it comes to students learning to read?
that's right.
You know, you hear a lot about PD,
Huge topic.
and how important it is to invest in teachers, but we're going to dig into
Right.
what the research actually says
Exactly.
about the impact.
Mhm.
And we've got a great source for this. We're looking at a systematic review and meta-analysis.
Okay.
So think of this as like,
A super study.
yeah, a super study, like a really in-depth analysis of lots of different individual research studies,
Exactly.
all focused on this one question.
Yeah, it gives you a really good bird's eye view of the evidence.
Yeah, so our mission today is to understand what this, this high-level research tells us about how training for teachers
Yeah.
affects those really important,
Now,
those foundational reading skills, especially for those elementary school kids.
absolutely, you're right. It's a huge investment.
Yeah.
If you think about it, in the U.S., teachers spend something like, 5 to 10% of their time on PD,
Yeah.
and it can take up 1 to 7.6% of the whole school budget.
Oh, wow.
And in Canada, where this particular review was done,
Yeah.
around 6.5% of school days are dedicated to PD.
Okay.
So it's really important to know, are we getting a good return on this investment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it actually making a difference?
Yeah.
So what I think is really interesting about the research that we're looking at today is that it's very specifically focused.
Right.
A lot of other reviews have looked at PD
Yeah.
and its impact on, kind of general academic achievement.
Legal attainment?
Yeah, like math, science, reading, kind of all lumped together.
Right.
But this one zeroes in on reading,
Just reading.
which, as we know, like reading isn't just one thing, it's a whole bunch of different skills.
Oh, yeah. It's complex.
Yeah, like decoding, comprehension, and,
Absolutely.
there are even...
There are even genetic predispositions
Yeah,
that can influence how easily some kids pick up those specific reading skills.
right. And so you might need different types of PD
Exactly.
to support those different elements of reading, right?
Totally. You think about something like dyscalculia, for example, where research has shown it's a very specific difficulty with numbers.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
general learning challenge.
Right.
It's very specific to math.
Yeah, so this highlights why it's so important to examine reading in isolation.
Exactly.
So with all that in mind, what was the big question that
Yeah.
this research team set out to answer?
The main question they wanted to answer was, what is the impact of teacher professional development on how well elementary school students learn to read?
Okay, so pretty straightforward,
Yeah, very focused.
nice and focused.
But then they also wanted to explore a couple of important related questions.
Oh.
The first one was, what are the different features or variations in PD that might make its impact stronger or weaker?
Okay, so like what makes PD work better or worse?
Got it.
And then the second question was, does the amount of time spent in PD make a difference?
Okay.
Specifically, does it matter if teachers get 30 hours or more versus less than 30 hours?
Interesting. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Sure.
The first thing they did
Yeah.
was they looked at what high-level research was already out there.
Right.
So they searched for any meta-analyses or systematic reviews that were already focused on PD and reading.
Exactly.
And what did they find? Did they find a lot of existing research on this?
It was surprising. They couldn't find any high-quality systematic reviews or meta-analyses
Really?
that focused only on the impact of PD on student reading achievement.
Wow, that's surprising. I feel like that would be a pretty fundamental question.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. So what did they find that came close to addressing this question? So they did find a few reviews that included literacy, but as part of a broader look at student learning.
Okay.
So, for example, they considered John Hattie's very influential book from 2009, Visible Learning.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
In that book, he looked at a massive amount of research.
Huge, right.
Yeah, and found an average effect size of 0.62 for teacher PD on general student learning.
Okay, so 0.62, that's considered,
It's pretty substantial.
yeah, a pretty substantial impact.
Yeah.
But as you said, that's across all school subjects.
Yeah, all subjects.
So what did they find when they looked at reviews that were a bit more focused on literacy?
Okay, so there was a 2007 meta-analysis by Temperley and colleagues, which was more directly relevant
Okay.
because it included 10 studies specifically on literacy,
Okay.
and they found an average effect size of 0.34.
Okay, so a bit smaller.
Yeah, a little bit small.
Still positive, but a bit small.
Still positive,
Okay.
but interestingly, They noted that the positive effects of PD seem to be stronger for students who are already struggling.
That's good to know, yeah. So that suggests that PD can be helpful for the kids who,
Especially helpful.
yeah, who need it most.
That's right.
But were there any, concerns about how that review was conducted?
Yeah, the researchers in our current study, they did have some methodological concerns about the Temperley review.
Okay.
And the main issue was that the studies seemed to be included in their analysis based on the outcome.
Oh, interesting.
So like how big of an impact the study found rather than how well the study itself was designed.
So they might have been a bit biased by,
Potentially.
yeah, towards studies that showed a big effect,
Exactly.
even if those studies maybe weren't that great.
Yeah. And ideally, when you're trying to get a clear picture, you want to prioritize the studies that use the most rigorous methods,
Right.
whether they found a big flashy result or a small one.
Right. Yeah, those studies that didn't find an effect
Exactly.
are still really important.
They are. They're telling us something important.
Yeah.
So the quality of the study should be the main filter.
Got it. So you want to be sure you're drawing conclusions from studies that were,
Well designed.
yeah, well designed from the start.
That's right.
Regardless of what they found.
That's the key.
Makes sense. So what other existing reviews did they examine?
They also looked at a 2007 meta-analysis by Yoon and colleagues,
Okay.
which included 3 studies focused on PD and student reading achievement.
Okay.
And that one found an overall effect size of 0.53 for literacy and writing studies.
Okay.
And then there was a 2007 systematic review by Cordingley and colleagues
Okay.
that looked at literally thousands of studies on the impact of specialists in professional development.
Wow.
And out of all of those, they identified 22 high-quality studies.
Okay.
And of those 22, only 3 specifically focused on reading or language arts.
Oh, wow. So that's a pretty small number.
It is.
So after all of that, after going through all these existing reviews, how many individual studies did they end up with that really looked at teacher PD and student reading achievement?
Okay, so by 2007, they only found 6 individual studies
6!
on teacher PD and student reading achievement that met their quality indicators.
Wow. Okay, so really limited.
Yeah, not enough to do a new meta-analysis.
Right. You can't really combine 6 studies and say anything meaningful.
Exactly.
So that's why they decided to search for more recent individual studies.
Right, they needed more data.
Right.
So they conducted a really thorough search of the main educational research databases.
Okay, like what kind of databases?
So, PsycInfo, ERIC,
Okay, yep. Familiar with those.
using a whole bunch of relevant keywords.
Like what kind of keywords are we talking?
Things like, teaching methods, professional development, and specific reading skills like phonemic awareness or vocabulary.
Okay, so really comprehensive search.
Trying to be as comprehensive as possible.
All right. And importantly, they were looking for studies that used randomized controlled trials,
Yes, RCTs.
or that next best thing, the quasi-experimental designs.
QEDs, exactly.
Right, because those are the ones that can give us more confidence that what they're seeing is,
Yeah.
Actually caused by the PD and not,
Right, not something else.
yeah, not just random chance.
Exactly, controlling for other factors.
Right, so how many additional studies did they find?
Okay, so after all that searching, they found 11 more studies that met their criteria,
11 more.
bringing the total up to 17.
Okay, it's a little bit better.
Much better.
Yeah, more to work with.
Yeah.
And what types of studies were these new ones? Were they all RCTs?
No, they had a variety of methods. So there were a couple more RCTs, some cluster RCTs.
Oh, okay. What are those?
Cluster RCTs are where they randomly assign entire classrooms or schools to different conditions instead of individual students.
Oh, interesting.
And then they had a few QEDs and even one mixed method study.
Okay, cool. So a good mix of studies.
Yep, a good range.
All right, so now they have their 17 studies,
17.
but they didn't just jump straight into combining the results.
No, that's really important.
Right, because we know that
Yeah.
not all studies are created equal.
Absolutely, some are better than others.
Right, and so what they did next was they carefully assessed the quality of each of these 17 studies.
Right, crucial set
What
they
else?
used.
They used specific criteria.
Yeah, like a checklist.
Yeah, like a checklist based on well-established guidelines.
Right.
So things like the consort standards for reporting research trials
Yeah.
and the EPI Center guidelines for evaluating the quality of research.
So like a quality control check.
Exactly.
Making sure that the studies are reliable and trustworthy.
Exactly.
So what kinds of things were on this checklist? What were they looking for?
So they were looking at, for example, Did the study explain how they assigned people to different groups?
Okay, so like the randomization process.
Exactly. Did they provide a good justification for the number of participants they had in their study?
Okay, yeah, like why did they choose that number?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Was there any blinding? So was anyone kept unaware of who was in which group? Okay, important.
Do they use intention to treat analysis?
Uh-huh.
Which basically means they included all participants in their analysis,
Okay.
even if some dropped out.
Got it.
And then they looked at things like, did the study clearly report its findings?
Yeah.
Did they describe the PD program well enough that someone else could understand it?
Okay.
Did they provide evidence that their measures were reliable and valid?
Yep.
And did they make sure the PD program was actually delivered as intended?
Okay, so like fidelity of treatment.
Exactly, that's right.
Right, so like making sure it was implemented properly.
Yeah, making sure it wasn't just like a one-off thing.
Right, okay, so a very thorough check.
Very thorough.
And what did they find? Were all 17 studies,
Yeah, were they all perfect?
Yeah, per.
No, not at all.
Okay.
The quality varied quite a bit.
Okay.
Many of them were missing at least one important element of good research design.
Oh, okay.
So to get a more nuanced view of this, they used a system called weight of evidence, or WOE.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and that involved answering a series of questions about each study.
Okay.
Like, did the study make sense internally?
Okay.
Was the design appropriate for the research question?
Right.
And was it relevant to their focus on PD and reading?
Okay.
And based on that, each study was given a WOE rating of high, medium, or low.
Okay, so like a quality rating.
Yeah, like a quality rate.
So how many of the studies were high quality?
Okay, so 6 of the studies were high quality,
Okay.
and 11 were medium quality.
Okay.
And importantly, they had good agreement between the two people who did the ratings.
Oh, good. So it wasn't just like one person's opinion?
No, there was good inter-rater reliability.
Okay, that makes it more reliable.
Exactly.
So what were some of the specific limitations that they found in these studies?
Okay, so only 10 of the 17 studies actually reported how they assigned people to groups.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Only 1 study provided a justification for their sample size.
Interesting.
Only 6 used intention to treat analysis.
Okay.
And only 1 reported any blinding.
Okay, so some pretty big gaps there.
Yeah, some definite areas for improvement.
Okay, so let's move on now to the actual PD programs themselves.
Okay.
What did they learn about the different types of PD that were used in these studies?
Okay, so there was a lot of variety.
Okay.
Across the 17 studies, there were 13 different PD programs.
13! Wow.
And interestingly, only 3 studies actually compared different ways of delivering the PD.
Okay, like what kinds of comparisons?
So they were looking at face-to-face PD versus PD delivered online through webcams.
Okay, interesting.
Also worth noting that none of the PD programs were on the What Works Clearinghouse list of best practices.
Oh, interesting. So
They might not be the ones that we would necessarily
yeah.
think of as the most effective.
Right. Okay, so what were the sort of typical approaches to PD in these studies?
Okay, so most of them, 15 out of the 17, were what we might call traditional.
Okay.
So things like workshops or summer institutes.
Right, where the teacher goes.
Yeah, sits in a room.
And someone talks at them for a while.
Yeah, and there's no kids present.
Right, got it.
But there were 2 studies that used what's called embedded professional development.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that.
Okay, so that's where you have a literacy coach who works directly with teachers in their classroom,
Okay.
and they provide immediate feedback.
Oh, wow. So in the moment.
Yeah, as they're teaching.
That's cool.
And those 2 studies actually reported the highest effect sizes of all the studies.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so that sounds promising.
Very promising.
Having that kind of like,
In-the-moment support.
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about those 2 programs. What made them different?
Okay, so the one with the biggest effects was called the ENRICH program.
Enrich.
Yeah, and it was based on this idea that learning is most effective when it's connected to the real-world task.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, very practical.
Yeah, situated.
Yeah, so an ENRICH coach would visit classrooms every week,
Okay.
and they would use different approaches depending on the teacher's needs.
So individualize.
Yeah, so sometimes they would provide live feedback as the teacher was teaching.
Okay.
Sometimes they would observe and give feedback afterward.
Okay.
Sometimes it was a combination.
Cool.
And the strategies they focused on were chosen to address the needs of the students in that classroom.
Okay, so very much like,
Tailored, responsive.
yeah, tailored to the context.
Exactly.
I like it. What about that cognitive coaching approach?
Right, so the cognitive coaching
Yeah.
approach also had large effects.
Oh, okay.
And that was based on this idea of having teachers reflect on their practice.
Okay.
So in that study, teachers were enrolled in master's level courses,
Oh, wow.
and they would reflect on their reading instruction using self-assessment tools.
Okay, so kind of like checking in with themselves.
Yeah, like thinking about what they were doing.
Right.
And they would practice different coaching scenarios with their colleagues.
Okay, so like role playing.
Yeah, so they would take turns being the teacher, the coach, and the student. And then they would reflect on those experiences.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's very much about reflection and collaborative learning.
Yeah, so very different from just like sitting and listening.
Very active.
Yeah, very active. Okay, what about that TRI program that was used in a few of the studies?
Okay, so the Targeted Reading Intervention, TRI.
TRI.
Yeah, that was the focus of 4 studies by Vernon Fegans and colleagues.
Okay.
And that program is designed to help students who are struggling with reading.
Okay.
So the PD aimed to build teachers' knowledge of reading development,
Okay.
teach them strategies to use with struggling readers,
Okay.
and help them apply those strategies in small groups or one-on-one instruction.
Okay, so really targeted.
Yeah, very specific.
And how long did the TRI PD last?
Okay, so in all 4 of those studies, it was quite substantial,
Okay.
over 30 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And it included a summer institute followed by regular visits from coaches throughout the year.
Okay, so like ongoing support.
Yeah, not just a one-time thing.
Right, and these studies, they used a really rigorous design.
Yes, cluster randomized trials.
So they matched schools and then randomly assigned whole schools to either get the program or not.
Exactly.
Cool. And did they look at different ways of delivering this TRI PD?
They did. So one study compared in-person coaching with coaching delivered through webcams.
Okay, interesting.
And they found that the teachers who got the webcam coaching actually had better student outcomes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so webcam coaching better than face-to-face.
that's what they found.
That's pretty wild. And I think you said there was another study that,
Yeah, another one that used webcams.
yeah, that also found positive effects.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about technology in general in PD? Was that something that came up in these studies?
Yeah, so besides the TRI studies, there was one by Powell and colleagues in 2010
Okay.
that compared traditional on-site PD with remote PD that used video examples.
Okay.
And they found that the students whose teachers got the remote PD with the videos
Yeah.
showed greater gains in reading.
Okay, so again, kind of pointing towards the potential of technology
Yeah, maybe something there.
to deliver PDA. All right, so what about how they measured student reading in these studies?
Right.
Was there a consistent measure?
So for the most part, they used standardized reading tests.
Okay.
But there was one study that used the Clay measures.
Oh, okay, yeah, those are well regarded too.
Yeah, those are good measures.
Okay, and we talked about how some studies had really small sample sizes.
Right.
Was that a common problem across all the studies?
Yeah, most of the 17 studies did have fairly small samples.
Okay.
Only 3 of them had more than 700 students,
All right.
and the rest had anywhere from like 50 to 500.
So something to keep in mind,
Definitely.
that it might be hard to generalize those findings.
Especially with the smaller samples.
Yeah, and one of the key questions was about the length of PD.
Right.
So they looked at the number of PD hours as a factor,
Exactly.
and what did they find? Was there like a sweet spot?
Okay, so they divided the studies into 2 groups.
Okay.
Those with less than 30 hours of PD total,
Okay.
and those with 30 or more.
Okay.
And it was a pretty even split.
Okay.
6 studies with under 30 hours, and 11 with over 30.
Got it.
And the ones with over 30, it ranged from like 10 to 70 hours.
Wow, huge range.
Yeah, big range.
Okay.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay, hit me.
They looked at the connection between the study quality and the length of the PD.
Okay.
And they found that 5 of the 6 high-quality studies had less than 30 hours of PD.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so that suggests that maybe shorter is better.
potentially.
Interesting. Okay, so then they combined all 17 studies in their meta-analysis.
Right.
And what was the overall effect of PD on student reading?
Okay, so they reanalyzed all the studies and calculated something called Hedges G.
Okay, so that's a standardized measure of the impact.
Yeah, like an effect size.
Okay.
And they used a statistical model that takes into account the fact that the impact might vary from study to study. So the overall effect size was G equals 0.225.
Okay.
And this was statistically significant.
Okay, so that means...
It's unlikely to just be random chance.
Right, so there is a positive effect of PD.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the amount of PD time? Did that affect the results?
It did, and it was pretty striking.
Okay, tell me.
So PD programs that were less than 30 hours had a larger and statistically significant effect size,
Okay, what was the effect size?
0.367.
Okay, and what about the longer programs?
So the programs that were over 30 hours had a much smaller effect,
How small?
0.91.
Wow, okay, so a big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
And that smaller effect wasn't statistically significant.
Right, so we can't be as confident about it.
Right, so it really challenges this idea that more PD is automatically better.
Yeah, it seems like it's not just about the quantity,
Right.
but also the quality.
And what happened when they looked at study quality?
Okay, so when they used the weight of evidence rating
Yeah.
as a moderator, the results showed that the high-quality studies, which tended to be the shorter PD programs,
Yeah.
had a significant effect,
What was the effect size?
0.347.
Okay.
But the medium-quality studies,
Yeah.
which were generally longer,
Yeah.
didn't have a statistically significant effect.
Okay, what was the effect size for those?
It was only 0.077.
Wow. So again, really highlighting the
The
quality issue.
Yeah, quality over quantity.
Right. So it seems like the stronger impact of the shorter PD might be because those studies were just better.
That's what they concluded, that the bigger effect might be linked to the higher quality.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily that shorter PD is magically better.
Right.
It could be that it's just easier to do good research on shorter programs.
Potentially.
So what did they say about this in their discussion? What was their interpretation of these findings?
So they emphasized that overall, professional development does have a positive impact on student reading.
Okay, good. So that's reassuring.
But they also highlighted this unexpected result, that shorter PD programs had a greater impact in well-designed studies.
Right, and that kind of flies in the face of this common belief that
Yeah.
longer PD is always necessary.
Yeah, more is better.
Yeah.
But the data doesn't support that.
And they specifically address this issue of quality, right?
Yeah, they said it's possible that shorter PD is just easier to study well.
Right.
But it's also possible that longer programs have different kinds of impacts.
Okay, so like longer term impact.
Yeah, that haven't been captured in the research.
Right, maybe we just haven't been looking long enough.
Exactly.
So what were some of the possible explanations that they offered for why shorter programs might be showing a bigger impact in these high quality studies?
Okay, so they said it could be that shorter programs just focus on a smaller set of skills.
Okay.
So it's easier for teachers to implement them.
Right, less overwhelming.
Yeah, and easier to measure the impact.
Okay.
And maybe they're addressing parts of reading instruction that are more easily changed. And then they also suggested that longer PD might lead to deeper learning over time,
Yeah.
but it just takes longer for those changes to show up.
Okay, so we might need to follow students for longer.
Exactly.
Then also shorter PD might be less disruptive to the classroom.
Yeah, practically speaking.
Right, it's not taking teachers out for as long.
Yeah, less time away from the kids.
Makes sense. So how did this effect size that they found for reading compare to those earlier ones that we talked about for general achievement?
Okay, so remember Hattie found an effect size of 0.62?
Yeah, for general attainment?
Yeah, for reading it was only 0.225.
Okay, so quite a bit smaller.
Yeah, quite a bit smaller.
So it really highlights the importance of looking at,
Specific subjects.
specific subjects.
Not just lumping everything together.
Right, because the effects might be different depending on what you're looking at.
Absolutely.
But even though it's smaller, is 0.225 still considered a meaningful improvement?
Yeah, so they referenced some work by Lipsy and colleagues
Okay.
who suggested that we should compare effect sizes to the typical growth that we expect in a year.
Okay, so like how much do kids normally grow in a year?
Exactly.
Okay.
And for reading in grades 2 to 4,
Yeah.
the expected growth is around an effect size of 0.36 to 0.6.
Okay, so that 0.225
Yeah.
is a decent chunk of that.
Yeah, like 25 to 35%.
So not insignificant.
No, it's a meaningful difference.
Okay, and what about those programs that focused on coaching and reflection?
Yeah.
You said those had the highest effect sizes.
Right.
Did the meta-analysis provide any more insights about those?
Yeah, so they emphasized that those studies were high quality
Okay.
and they had really good effects.
Okay.
And they often involved shorter PD.
Okay, so again, kind of pointing to that.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And these more individualized approaches.
So it seems like those are promising,
They are.
but we still need more research
Yeah, definitely need more research.
to compare different models and see what really works best.
Exactly.
Okay, so as with any research review,
Right.
there are limitations.
Always.
So what did they identify as the main limitations of the research in this area?
Okay, so the first one is sample size.
Okay.
Most of the studies had small samples.
Right, we talked about that.
So it's hard to generalize.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a potential issue in one study with the way they analyzed the data,
Okay.
which might have inflated their results.
Okay.
But overall, they said the biggest issue is the moderate quality of a lot of the studies
Okay.
due to all the limitations we talked about before.
Right, like those checklist items.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they pointed out that there's just not a lot of high-quality research on PD and reading.
Right.
Another challenge was the variability in how studies reported their methods and described the PD.
Okay, so hard to compare.
Really hard to compare apples to apples.
Yeah, okay.
And then most of the studies were done in the U.S.,
Okay.
with only one in Australia.